Financial support for the production of Issues in Education is provided by the Florida State University License Plate. Your FSU license plate supports scholarships for students who enrich and contribute to our communities. Special programs, gift certificates, and rebates for first-time buyers online at fsu.edu/mytag.
Coming up today on Issues in Education, the value of international study and the role it plays in the college experience. Welcome to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, alongside my co-host, the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron. Some college students grab at opportunities to study in a foreign country, while others wonder how the experience could help them in their lives and in their careers. So what exactly is the value of international study? That's the topic for today's program. Joining us today is Louisa Blenman, the Director of Student Services for FSU's International Programs, which is celebrating its 55th year. With her are two students who have taken part in the program. Lean Dumet has studied in Valencia, Spain, and Elizabeth Jones. She's not only been part of the international program in Italy, but she's also studied in Turkey. Thank you all for joining us today.
So Louisa, why don't you first start with an idea of what types of international programs are out there for our students?
Well, at a university as large as ours and as diverse as ours, we work really hard to try and meet students where they are. And so we have a pretty wide variety of program structures. So students can go for as long as a year, their first year in college, or they can go on a semester program, a summer program that might be 4 weeks or 12 weeks. And we've just recently added a new spring break model where students can take a face-to-face class while they're in Tallahassee and then wrap the curriculum around their international experience over spring break. So that's an example of where we're hoping to be able to reach out to a different segment of the university that, due to time constraints or financial constraints or curricular mapping requirements, might not be able to go on a different type of program.
Well, how many different countries are available to students? Are all of those programs open to all of those countries, or?
We have 4 locations where we operate year-round. We have a full branch campus in the Republic of Panama. We have study centers in London, England, Florence, Italy, and Valencia, Spain. And at those study centers, we offer fall and spring semester programs and then a variety of summer programs. But in addition to those locations, we have programs in about 15 different countries where a faculty member might propose to take political science students to Turkey, or a biology instructor who specializes in shark research takes students to the Bahamas. So examples like that where students can either study broad curriculum, sort of liberal arts or oral competency, those types of issues, or they can be more immersed in their academic major and study upper division classes.
You know, I know our program is highly regarded, and obviously that's quite a bit of breadth and permanent locations, other sites driven by faculty. Why such an investment? What is the belief on why this is so important?
Well, in the 21st century, we obviously have a very interconnected, globalized society. I think the recent economic recessions have provided a good example of how interconnected our economies are. Sovereign debt crises or mortgage issues in the U.S. affected other countries. Things like the Arab Spring revolutions have affected different countries. Even the tsunami in Japan had a pretty significant impact on supply chains for everything from cars to computers. And so we're very intent on helping Florida State students gain intercultural competencies so they're able to go out into society and be productive employees and citizens. And we really believe that having international experiences is a vital part of that.
Lean and Elizabeth, how did you both hear about the program, and how did you decide where you wanted to go?
Well, I heard about it obviously through all the advertising and the marketing, and I saw brochures, and I always knew I wanted to go abroad. So that was something that was already an interest to me. But one of my closest friends actually spent her semester in London, and she had an amazing experience. I initially wanted to just go for 6 weeks, but after hearing about her experience, I decided that fear of leaving the country for 4 months wasn't a good enough reason to not go abroad and embark on such an incredible journey. So I decided to go, and I'm a Spanish minor, so I figured going to Spain would really help me immerse myself in the culture and just see, how different people interact with each other while I worked on my Spanish language, which I was able to do. So that was really great for me, and it really had an impact on many different aspects, including my academics, obviously. So.
And for me, studying abroad was actually part of my decision making when I decided to come to Florida State. I knew that studying abroad was something I definitely wanted to take advantage of during my time in college. And I saw in coming here for preview that we had such a strong international programs, and there were opportunities to go places that I was interested in and that were in my area of study that I was interested in pursuing as well. So I actually kind of based my study abroad experience and my decision to come to Florida State.
What is your major?
International Affairs and Sociology.
Okay.
So that makes good sense. So give us an idea about, that first trip. What did you learn? What was a surprise? What did you learn about yourselves?
Well, I definitely learned a lot about myself. The first time I studied abroad was to one of our 4 main study centers in Florence, Italy, and I went there to cover some liberal studies requirements, and I went the summer after my freshman year. So going at a younger age, pretty early in my college career, I definitely learned a lot about myself. I was stepping out of my comfort zone, I didn't go necessarily with friends on my program, so I was kind of putting myself out there. I knew I would have to form relationships while I was there and kind of fend for myself, but I wanted that, I wanted to push myself, and I wanted that kind of experience. And so while having that very unique learning experience, I studied art history some and took care of some liberal studies requirements while I was there, but while having that unique learning experience in a place like Florence, Italy, I also got to kind of expand my own personal I got to get in touch with kind of my strengths and weaknesses and see where I could work on myself to better myself as a person.
Lean, what about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. The first thing I remember once I stepped foot in the study center was how comfortable I felt. I've previously traveled. My family's from Lebanon, and I used to live in Ecuador, so I feel like I've dipped my feet in different, global aspects. So I wasn't so nervous about leaving the country, but I was just concerned with the fact that I was going to be gone for 4 months, so I remember feeling so comfortable as soon as I stepped foot in the study center. It almost seemed like the director and all of the program assistants were answering questions before I even had the opportunity to ask them. So having that really allowed me to focus on myself and the people around me and how I was going to let those interactions affect me. After studying abroad, I realized that I've become a lot more adaptable because living with 65 different students every single day, every hour of the day, you are living with 65 different personalities, so you're constantly learning how to interact with all kinds of people that you probably wouldn't get in contact with on a normal basis. So that was one way that I was certainly affected. Leadership skills. I don't think people realize how much your leadership skills are challenged or compromised or even, strengthened when you're traveling, because at one point you have to realize who's going to take the lead and who's going to sit back and just listen, and I think both of those qualities define what a leader is, when to know when to step up and when to step back a little bit. So when we were in Rome, for example, I knew one of the students I was traveling with, she had been previously, so I just let her take the reins, and it really taught me when to step back, when to step forward, and that both of those are really okay to do, and they push your experience forward and really allow you to grasp every aspect of it. So it definitely affected me in a magnitude of ways, and all of those ways are really amazing. And being back here, I've realized just how they've affected me.
So what is your major?
I'm a double major in international affairs and communications, and I completed my minor this summer, taking 3 of the classes that I needed in Valencia for the minor.
How does the curriculum work out there? So does it work with programs like your majors? Well, of course you have international aspects to both of your majors. But how does the curriculum work for these? And all 3 of you can answer this one.
I think it depends on what program you're pursuing. And that's, I think, one of our strengths in the breadth and the variety of our offerings. We have a program for first-year abroad students. So students, they come to Tallahassee for orientation, but their very first college experience is at one of our study centers. And for those students, they take their traditional first-year classes. They meet all their mapping requirements for science or business or whatever their major is. For other programs that are also sort of broad curriculum, we have liberal studies classes, oral competency classes where students in London go to Speaker's Corner and do their speeches there rather than in a classroom. And then for programs like the Turkey program, students go and take upper division classes in their major. And oftentimes they're classes that a faculty member develops specifically for that location. And so it's something that they can't get on this campus. And so it really augments the curriculum for those students. I don't know if you felt that with your...
Absolutely. Like I mentioned, I took care of some liberal studies requirements while I was in Italy, broad curriculum. But while I was in Turkey, like I said, I'm an international affairs major, so I was able to take upper level classes that worked towards my major. And for instance, one of the classes I took was Turkish politics, and Dr. Smith, he's the chair of the political science department. He's the director of that program, and he developed that program in the classes that go along with it. And with that, we discussed specific issues in Turkish politics. We actually took a field trip to the CNN headquarters in Turkey, where we got to talk to some of their leading news people in pressing Turkish politics and what they saw as the most relevant issues. So that was just fascinating. That's something that obviously you can't get here, and something that I wouldn't have been able to get if I traveled there on my own. That was specifically I got access to through our international programs.
But you know, the wisdom has always been that study abroad takes extra time, and you have to spend, because you stepped out of whatever it is your curriculum. But it sounds like that didn't occur, and it even advanced what it is that you wanted to do.
Absolutely. Taking those additional hours over the summer, actually, I was gaining credits while I was abroad towards my international affairs major, and that gave me an opportunity to pick up a second major in sociology during my time here. So if anything, it gave me more opportunity to expand my studies back here on campus. So
I completely agree. In Valencia, I took 3 out of my 5 classes that I needed to complete my Spanish minor. So, you know, that's a big chunk of the classes. And when I came back, I was able to take the last one, and I completed my minor. And the great thing about studying abroad is that you are completing your credits that you need, you know, for your coursework and everything like that. But instead of just learning about things in the classroom, you're using the city as your classroom. In one of my in Culture and Civilization of Spain, we actually spent 2 days in the classroom in the 4 months that we were there, once to take the midterm and once to take the final exam. Every other class day, we were in the city, taking a tour of the train station, or we took a bus to Sagunto and saw the ruins that we had just been tested on, you know, and saw the whole city below us. So that was really incredible for me. I loved being able to step out and, you know, you live above where you study. So some people think you can just roll out of bed in your PJs and go down to class, but we like to, you know, I learned that you don't necessarily do that because you're spending so much time outside and interacting with the locals and seeing the culture, you know. So that was really incredible to me, and it was so great being able to do this while, you know, using my time effectively. I never, ever felt like I was wasting time. On the contrary, it was such a different experience that I was enhancing my time greatly.
Right. We often tell students that planning is key. If you plan ahead, then you could definitely fit an international experience into your college curriculum at some point.
Well, you fit 2 in And is that usual for students to do more than one, or how do you build on something once you've already done one experience abroad?
There are a couple of key points with that. One is that a number of students do have repeat international experiences, either on different programs like Elizabeth did, or some might do an internship as a second experience, or maybe an exchange program that requires a little bit more independence and immersion than some students might be ready to tackle initially. But then there are also ways back here in Tallahassee to build on those experiences through programs like the Global Pathway Certificate, the Garnet and Gold Scholar Society. Research has shown us that students who have an engaging experience like studying abroad or internships or undergraduate research have positive outcomes for themselves, but also for the university. And so we want to try and encourage those types of engaging experiences, both to have them and then to build on them. And research also shows us that when students have intentional reflection about those experiences, that it enhances their learning and their development. And so programs like the Garnet and Gold Scholar Society do just that. They encourage students to have the experience, and then it built into the program is this reflection and synthesis that helps them in many ways, but some of the primary ways that parents might want to hear are that they can go and be in an interview for graduate school or for a job and really articulate how their intercultural competency was enhanced by their experience, how they might be more independent, how their worldview might be changed because of their time abroad. And employers tell us that they really appreciate that, because anybody who's studied abroad themselves knows that it happens, but it's frustrating when a student can't articulate that. And so these programs are a great opportunity for us to help students do that and build on it and go forth and do great things in their careers.
You know, one of the things I was struck by is that a study center is also kind of like a home base, and that the students are taking advantage of everything around them and not just close by. It's an opportunity to go explore all sorts of areas and regions in the surrounding country. But so we use this word study center, and I'm trying to imagine how people would imagine what that's like. What is a study center like?
Well, a study center is essentially, in Valencia, I can speak for our study center there. You live and study in the same place. So you live upstairs and then you walk down the stairs and go to class. The study center it's so central, so it does allow us to go to, whether it's 10 minutes away or 30 minutes away. We can take the tram, or we can take a taxi, or we can walk, which we did a lot. So being able to live and study in the same place provides, I think, that comfort that is needed when you go abroad while you're stepping out of your comfort zone, constantly. So we would spend our days doing adventurous things, living life, differently than we might, back on this campus. And we would have that home base to go reflect on our experiences and just talk to other students, who were going through the same things that I was. So the study center acts, you're right, like a home base almost, but it's just, in Valencia, it incorporates a lot of artifacts from the 4th century. So one of our 4 walls actually is an Arab wall. So that was really awesome to be able to live somewhere that you actually are touching and stepping foot on history. So yes, it is a home, but it's also a cultural insight on, Valencian life and just Spanish history. So that was really great for me.
Right, and the London Study Center is a similar setup to the Study Center in Valencia. Florence is slightly different. You aren't necessarily living within the study center. It's apartment-style housing, so it's a 20 to 25-minute walk between the apartment and the study center where you'll be going to take your classes, where the computer lab, the library is located. But the walk is quite enjoyable as you cross the Ponte Vecchio and you pass by the Duomo on your way to take your classes. So
How do people learn more about the international programs at FSU?
Well, these two ladies are part of our team of students who help us. And I don't recall the exact statistic, but something close to 75% of our students who go on our programs first hear about our programs from another student, which to me is music to my ears, because it tells me that those students are singing the praises of their experience, and they had such a powerful time that they're coming back and they're telling their friends about it, and they're encouraging their siblings to go. And so that's our biggest recruiters are our former students. But of course we have a website, which is international.fsu.edu, and students can go on there and learn about all of our programs and apply right there on the website. So.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here today. We've been talking about international programs with Louisa Blenman, Lean Dumet, and Elizabeth Jones. When we come back, Dr. Barron and I will talk one-on-one about more issues in education. Welcome back to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, talking with Dr. Eric Barron, the president of the Florida State University. Dr. Barron, we've been talking about international programs. Why is a strong international program so important to a university and its students?
Well, I think you can think about it in a variety of ways. One is, we have a multinational economy, and what happens in the rest of the world has a big impact on everybody in this country. And so, can you be truly successful today without having a worldview? So that's one part of it. And I think the second part of it is that we know students who are engaged are more successful. They're happier. They have a peer group that's engaged. That group of students that are, within that study center that you begin to interact with, those students tend to get better grades, and they tend to get better jobs and higher paying jobs. And that's one of the reasons why international study is one of the 5 pillars of the Garnet Gold Scholar Society. As an example, that society is designed to promote engagement in worthwhile activities for our students. Don't just go in and out of class. There's so many more things that you can do, and international programs is a perfect example.
Have you had a chance to visit many of the IP programs?
So
in
I
person?
have only visited one, the one in Valencia, and it was nothing short of wonderful. I mean, I got a chance to have dinner with the faculty and realized how engaged they were and the extent to which they were bringing their talents to bear and making sure that the students had a sense of that. You see students that are going everywhere, taking advantage, just listening to the conversation of students. Where are you going this weekend? What are you going to do? And it wasn't, let's just go have fun. It was, I have to go see such and such because I'm here, and it's not that far away. It's a train ride or whatever else. And the study center itself is beautiful. You live there. Part of the floor is plexiglass, so you can see down through the centuries in the building because it goes all the way back to the Romans. Just wonderful.
Do you wish you had been able to take part in this when you were in school here? The programs were around, but you weren't able to do it.
I think back at that time, you were constantly thinking, how do I do this? I have to get finished in 4 years. I need to do the next thing. And, here are all the requirements that I have to achieve. And so you always viewed study abroad as that meant it was going to take you extra time to graduate. Now you realize that this is so tightly integrated with the university that you're getting to do your coursework. You're covering many of the basic requirements. Or you're seeing the opportunity for a particular major. International programs was an example today, where you're you're getting an opportunity to advance in your major. And so clearly this was making it easier for students to get their credit. Back in my time, that's not the way we were thinking.
What would be the international program? Which country would you like to go to?
I think I'd go to all of them maybe, but you know, first off, I think I would say, you know, I love London, and so that's probably the place I shouldn't go. That you should have an experience where it can be transformative. So I'd probably add Panama maybe there as an example. I haven't been to Florence. So, you know, the students told us, step out there. That's part of getting to know yourself, to step out there and go a little bit out of your element and learn. So I think I should take their advice.
You recently gave your State of the University address. What were the main points you wanted people to take away from it?
Well, this is an extremely successful university. It's been under a lot of stress with budget, but despite all those stresses, we keep pushing towards excellence. You know, I remind people that we went from 101 of all universities to 97, and we went from 46 of all publics to 42. Second year in a row that we've advanced, the highest ranking that we have received since the 90s. Yet our financial resource rank dropped from 204 to 212. They only ranked 270 universities. So this is a university where every place you look, we know how to take a dollar and turn it into quality. I just told you the academic side of it. Try the athletic side of it. You know, 5th in the Director's Cup, which is a measure of the success of your top 20 athletic programs. We only have 20. Our budget's $78 million. Number 6 and number 4, their budgets are twice as big as ours. We just know how to deliver quality on not much money.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barron. That's our time for now. Please join us again next month for more Issues in Education. You can watch the premiere episode of Issues in Education the first Wednesday of every month at 7:30 p.m. That means you can see the next new episode on Wednesday, December 5th on WFSU-TV. Join us as we discuss the latest developments in higher education happening around the state and across the country. If you have questions that you would like us to address on this program, you can email us at issues@wfsu.org. Again, that's issues@wfsu.org. If you would like to see past episodes from Issues in Education, head to the President's website at president.fsu.edu. I'm Suzanne Smith with the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron, for Issues in Education. We'll see you next time.
Financial support for the production of Issues in Education is provided by the Florida State University License Plate. Your FSU license plate supports scholarships for students who enrich and contribute to our communities. Special programs, gift certificates, and rebates for first-time buyers online at fsu.edu/mytag.